What's up guys, Matt Jones here, back with another video on Power Automate. This time we're going to be looking at a new feature of Power Automate called the Copilot expression. So Copilot expressions is a Copilot designed for expression editing. Now we've all heard the word Copilot so many times over the last couple of years. Some of them are better than others, and this is a new one for Power Automate. So we've previously seen the Power Automate Copilot that helps you build a flow, so you can kind of type into it what you want it to do and it'll build the different actions. Now that was good, but one of the things that it couldn't do is it couldn't actually build an expression for you. So expressions and functions are one of the most powerful tools in Power Automate, and one of the biggest learning curves I see in Power Automate is people trying to get to grips with expressions. It doesn't really help that there's a different workflow expression language compared to PowerFX, so it does have some issues with that. But what we will do is we'll go through the new Copilot expression experience and see how easy it is to build expressions today. So let's jump into it. I'm in Power Automate here. I've got a couple of actions. I've got a manual trigger. So what I've done before this is I've gone in and I've added a couple of actions. So I've added a couple of Dataverse actions for get a row by ID and list rows, and we're going to use both of these steps to actually reference in the Copilot expression and see if it can pull things out. Full disclosure, I've been playing with this for a little while. This I think is really good. So there are some things that I have tested that I'm going to show you here today. There are some things that I haven't tested, and whatever happens, we're going to keep them in the video. Whether they work, whether they don't work, it's all fine. So the first action we got here is a get row by ID, and I've pre-populated it with an account in my Dataverse system. If I click into the Copilot expression compose step, what I'm going to do, and this works in any step, it doesn't have to be a compose step, it can be an update rows, it can be a create row sort of thing, but I'm just using a compose just so we can see what it does. So what we need to do is we need to add in an expression. So we click on the expression button here, and we now have this new window that says create an expression with Copilot. So it's slightly above the function and dynamic content here. So what you do is you select this and it creates a new little window for you here. And in here, it gives you a message to say you can describe the expression you want, and the Copilot will create it for you. So let's start with something really basic. Let's start with something like add the numbers 5 and 10 together. And we'll create an expression. It's going to say working on it, and it's giving me an expression straight away. So it's telling me use the add function, and the expression is add 5, 10. And if I click OK, it puts it straight into the dynamic content window, the function window here, and I can click add and it automatically puts that in there, which is fantastic. So that's done it straight away. So I don't need to copy and paste things. It's just a couple of clicks and it adds it straight back into that window. So let's go type that thing again because I wanted to show you something else. So we'll go back here, add the numbers 5 and 10 together. I'll hit expression. Now, one thing it does do at the bottom, and also it tells you that this is AI generated content and it may be incorrect. So again, it's saying this is a suggested expression and you should absolutely test this before you use it in production. But it gives me 1 of 3, telling me that there are actually alternates to this expression that we've created. So again, this is in preview. This is trying to understand what it is you're asking for and trying to generate something based on that. So if I select through the options, so we know that the first one is the one that works, or I know that the first one is the one that works. But what are the other ones? Sum of 5 and 10, which again would equal 15, I think. And then actually gives me add 5 and 10 again. So it's giving me the same one twice, but it is also giving me an alternate option. So it's going to try and generate different possibilities for you, and that's really helpful. But what if we don't want to work with numbers and we want to work with text instead? So we'll use a very basic function here. So concatenate, which means merge together the words fire and water, and we'll go with a space in the middle. I don't know if it's going to know how to do that, so we'll find out. And it's not giving me multiple options this time, it's just giving me a single option, and it's giving me concat and then the word fire in single quotes, which is correct, a space inside a single quotes, which is correct, and then water. So it's done the exact thing that I've asked it for. And if I click on OK and click on add, again we can see that populate straight in there. So that's really powerful. A lot of people struggle with expressions and struggle with how to write them and which functions they need to use. So so I know the word concatenate. The function is called concat, so that's really useful. Now let's try something slightly different. So if I go to create a expression with Copilot, I can ask you something. So Copilot is aware of where you are in the flow, so it knows kind of other steps in the flow. So if I say something like, so the get row by ID is going to return me an account name and an account number. So I could say something like concat, just say concat, the account name and account number from the previous step. See if it knows that. And it says concat, and it's giving me an outputs get row by ID, question mark, and then body name, and outputs get row by ID account number. So not only has it recognized that I need the two outputs, so like all the direct content inside of Power Automate is just a formula underneath, it's just a function or an expression underneath. It's giving me those two pieces of direct content as expressions so that it goes straight back into the editor, and it's found the properties name and account number. So it's looked through the properties of the JSON that's going to return automatically and said, hey, you're going to get something called name, and account name sounds like name, account number sounds like account number. I'll put those two things together. It's also giving me other options. So what are the other options? Okay, account number, and so it's just merged them around. So it's changed. So I have account number and then account name. And then it's also done it and added a space in between. That's really handy because I didn't specify that I wanted a space in between it, but what if I do want a space in between it? So we'll click OK and we'll add it in here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to test this and see if this works. So we'll click test, we'll choose manually, we'll choose publish and test, and we'll watch this run through. So it's run successfully. A green tick's all the way along, and if we look at our number here, we've got Microsoft, and I want to, so that's the account that I was looking at, which I think is over here. Yeah, this Microsoft Limited. So it's giving me the account name and the account number, which is fantastic, and that's exactly what we wanted. And see how easy that was with Copilot to create an expression to do that. We could also do other things. So we could do something like, let's say. Shorten account number to just the first 3 digits. I'm not actually going to tell it use it from the previous step. We'll just see what happens if I do this, and it's going to automatically think that I'm talking about the previous step. I'm going to do this, so it's going to say, hey, we're going to use a substring function, and we're going to use the 0 as the starting position and 3 as the next position. So that, again, that would be right. We can also use the left function, which again is a really handy one, and the take function. That's interesting. So it thinks, okay, so this is Copilot again, and this is actually really useful to show you. This is Copilot saying, hey, you've told me to shorten the number. Now, shorten could mean just take the first 3 digits, which is what we've kind of got with the first 2 functions. But it could also mean reduce it by 3. So this is actually saying, hey, take 3 away from that account number and give me the option. We'll use the substring one, and we'll see how that works as well. So we'll click that in, and we'll test this one again. By the way, the other functions did seem like they would work because they're very basic expressions. So I've pre-validated them with my Power Automate brain. And again, it's giving me 016. So if we go back to our accounts menu, we can see 016 is the first 3 digits. So that's all great. Now these are some very basic functions. We've just done a couple of very basic ones here. Now what if we try something a little bit more complex? If I move this expression down below my list rows, list rows is going to provide me an array back. So it's going to provide me a list of things. So I've created a quick fetch XML query in here that just says, hey, bring me back all accounts that the name has the letter C in it and are active. So it's just going to provide me some details. Now it's working with arrays are tricky, and people always get tripped up on this. And one of the most common things that I see is people having multiple loops all the time, or using loops when they don't need a loop, and they will loop through it once and then just get the first row of data. Now that's not the best practice. The problem with using a loop is that it increases your number of API calls. It increases the complexity of your flow, when a simple expression would remove that. So in this, it's going to return me an account, a list of accounts. What if I only wanted the first account? So let's try and do that. So provide me the name of the first account in the list. Now I'm not going to tell it which step I wanted to get it from, so we'll see if it works out. I've told it a list, so there's a list row step, and it's used that. So it says first outputs list rows body value question mark name. Seems correct to me. First body list rows value name. Yep, again that's probably right. First item, okay, of the body value common question mark name. I don't think that one would work because I'm not inside a loop. So the item refers to the loop that you're inside, so it knows what the current value is. I'm not expecting it to generate me a loop or apply to each. So I don't think that one will work. Again, this is in preview. This is trying to work out what you're trying to do based on the context of where it is in the flow. It may not be completely accurate all the time, so you absolutely do need to test this. So we'll go back to the first one. This seems about right. Let's put it in there. Let's do this, and we'll hope the Power Automate doesn't put a loop around it. If it doesn't, it's great. We'll test this one out. It's going to be Contoso. So Contoso being the first one in the list rows. So if I look at my list rows here, it's going to provide me a few outputs. Here's the body, here's the values, so here's the list of accounts. First one being Contoso, next one being Contoso 2, Contoso 3, this one, and Microsoft, and a couple others. So this is the first one in that list. So that's exactly what I wanted, and that's fantastic because again, I write these expressions all the time. I tend to refer back to my own notes on how to write this expression, mainly because of where the question mark is. So if you look here, when we're doing not where the question mark is, where the brackets or the parentheses are. So when you're doing this expression, you do a first expression, and you do the first of the body values of the list rows. So this is basically saying, hey, give me the first item in this array. Oops, move that around. Give me the first item in this array, and then the question mark and the property afterwards is, hey, once you give me that first item in the array, give me an optional parameter, which is what the question mark means, of the word name. So if you don't have the question mark there and you use name, it's going to assume that it's always going to be there, and if that's not the case, it's going to error. So that's actually why it generates question marks all the time in all these things. So again, like the list rows, it's got a question mark between body and value, because it's like, this is optional. This might not be here all the time. So, but this is fantastic. This is exactly what we need. Let's try something else. So again, arrays are tricky to deal with. I may not want to deal with the array. I may not want to loop through things. So this is one that I've not tried out before. Create me an array of the names of the accounts. I will hit create expression. I was kind of interested to see if we do this. Oh, okay. It's using a map function. I'm not sure I know what a map function is. This is really interesting. I'm going to use that one. Select the outputs of this, of name. Yeah, it seems like that would work. Join the outputs of these. I'm going to choose the first one because I'm interested in the map function. That might not be something I've covered on this channel before. So we'll find out what the map function is today. I may have covered it. There's like 400 videos of functions on my channel, so who knows. After this, you might do a video on the map function. So, okay, it's failed. The function map is not defined or valid. Okay, well that's interesting because it said that it was a map function. So this is, is there a map function? It doesn't seem like it. I can't see a map function. So that might be a Copilot oddity. Okay, let's try this again. Create an array of the names of the accounts in the list. So again, we'll write it slightly differently. Correct expression. Again, it's trying to give me a map function. No, I don't think that's correct. So let's choose outputs. Item name. Again, I'm not sure that's going to work. Create an array of the names of the. Let's try a different array. Create an array just containing the names of the accounts in the previous step. Generate the expression. Again, it's telling me about the map function, but I don't think it's going to work. And it's not giving me those options that it gave me last time with the select, which is interesting. So that's going to create me an entire array, not the ones that I want. And this one's the one that we used before that doesn't seem to work. I think because of the item here. Okay. Create me a list of the account names from the previous step. Let's try this. This might not work at all. So, and of course there are going to be some limitations in these things. If I do that, what's it going to do? I think that's going to fail. Pretty sure it's going to fail. But this is actually a good teaching moment to see that these things aren't infallible. It successfully ran, but did not have any outputs at all because that is not a valid expression because it has no loop or frame of reference. You see, even now it's done this. So yeah, there are going to be some limitations with this. It's not going to be perfect each time. I am curious as to why it's not giving me those other functions. Does the select function probably should have worked? I probably would have used a join, but yeah. What about if we put create a list of account names and numbers? What will they do now? I'm telling it it's two things. So it's giving me the select this time. But just the name, not the number. Concat this and this. Yeah, that's not going to work either. So at least this one's the one I kind of wanted to begin with, I think. Select should probably work. Let's try that. Oh, there's an issue with... look at this. There's an issue with this. What's the issue? The expression has a problem. You can fix it manually with let's fix it with Copilot. Fix my no, that's not gonna work either. It's giving me the select but with an item. Yeah, I don't think that's a valid. Oh well, seems like it fixed itself. Not sure if this will work, but we'll find out. I tend to use select actions, not select functions. Yeah, it's not. Template select is not a valid or defined function. So I like this. I do like this new editor, but as you can see, it's select a function. I don't think it is. No, it's not a function. Nope. Select a map, not functions. So there are some limitations. So I did do some things that I was unsure how it would work, unsure if it would work, and we've kind of seen now that it hasn't worked. But overall, those first few functions that we used on some of those basic things, and you can do all sorts of things with this. You can add different, try and format date formats and things like that. Manipulate strings and other things. So there are a bunch of things that it does really well. It is interesting that we saw a couple of those things where it didn't work so well, like those functions that again, I'm not sure a map function exists. At least in Power Automate, it might exist in something like Logic Apps maybe. And that's probably where the select comes from as well. So yes, there are positives and minuses. I think this is a great step in the right direction. That one where I get the first row of data and then get the property that I want is something that I use all the time and something that I constantly have to look up, even though I've written it 1,000 times. I still can never remember where the parentheses go. So I think this is really useful. I think this is going to be an absolute game changer for people using Power Automate. The Power Automate Copilot, where you tell it what you want and everything, that's good, especially for people that don't know much about Power Automate. But for the more advanced users, I never ever use that. This is something I will probably use on a daily basis when I need to write functions. So what do you guys think? Have you guys checked this out yet? What are your experiences? Have you seen oddities like I've found? Have you found it's worked more times than it's not worked, or the other way around? Let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, if you can like it and share it with your friends, that'd be great. If you've not already, subscribe to my YouTube channel and get up-to-date videos on all the latest news, and I'll see you next time.